Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Marketing in the Madness. Now, if you're watching and not just listening, you might notice that things look a little bit different today because we are actually on location recording today at Karl Lagerfeld's head office in Amsterdam. Karl Lagerfeld wasn't just a designer or creative director. He was the brand, a face, a silhouette, a sharp tongue, a signature look. He didn't just create collections. He created a world people wanted to step into. And I feel so lucky that I get to interview today Mirjam, their VP of Marketing, on exactly how and why he did that so that you can learn everything and go and do it yourself. So we are going to be delving into what I think is going to be probably one of my favorite episodes in a long time because Karl, the whole business is built around Karl. I think he personified personal brand before personal brand was even a thing and created his business around his own persona. So we're going to talk a lot about that today because it's a topic that one, I think is very relevant in 2026, but also is, I guess, he's the true showcase of what I guess personal brand should be. And especially in the kind of luxury fashion world, he's probably the only person that's really done it properly anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm excited to kind of cover all of that. But before we do, Mirjam, of course, I would like you to introduce yourself because you've been with Karl Lagerfeld for a long time. Tell me a little bit about you and your career.
Great. Well, Katie, welcome to our beautiful head office here in Amsterdam and for being on your podcast. I'm very excited. As we said already established, I'm Mirjam Schuele. I'm SVP of Marketing for Karl Lagerfeld and I've been with the brand for more than a decade. And actually, if I take a step back, the brand has experienced like really significant growth over that period. And today we are a strong fashion and lifestyle power brand, I would say, that covers not only fashion, but also hospitality, luxury living, fragrances, and many other categories that we are managing from here.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to go into the showroom just before and spray some of the lovely new perfume. So sorry, it's not smell-o-vision, guys. You can't actually smell how beautiful I smell, but love it. And the brand just has so much personality. So it must be an awesome place to work.
It's amazing. I mean, there's endless creativity. We have so many opportunities. The brand is also extremely elastic. It spans from like super luxury with like some of our 5-star hotels that we have, for example, in Macau, or luxury living projects that we have in Dubai or Marbella or many other places around the world, to our fashion line that is centered in contemporary, so premium fashion, not in the absolute luxury space. We want to be an inclusive brand that is available to a broader consumer group. But then with Karl being this ultimate icon, having been the creative director for Chanel and Fendi, gives us the opportunity also to reach into that super luxury space, which gives us a lot of opportunities also in the way we can communicate and play with the brand.
And it is a very playful brand. I mean, as you can see, this is the iconic image of Karl here with his ponytail, like such that, I mean, you've had quite a lot of fun with that over the years, I think.
Yes, definitely.
I'm going to talk about that in a minute because what I want to do first is talk a little bit more about Karl's career and I guess why, or, what kind of spurred him on to go ahead and launch his own brand. Because like you say, he was working with some of the biggest brands. And I think, his time at Chanel that was his empowering moment. He turned that brand around for them. He'd worked with Fendi, he'd worked with Chloe, Chanel, like really in these most amazing roles. So it would have been very easy for him to stay, right, and continue to work with these great brands, but he wanted to do something different, didn't he?
Definitely. I mean, he was doing all the three things at the same time. I mean, he was really a multi-hyphenate. He was a creative director, but he was also a photographer, publisher, interior designer. So he just has this endless creativity and also boundless curiosity that was driving him on. He was so curious about discovering new things, learning new things, and he always was kind of moving on to the next thing. So when he founded the Karl Lagerfeld brand, for him it was really about expressing his own identity versus, of course, at Fendi, Chanel, and some of the other fashion houses he was working for, he was reinventing the codes of their specific fashion houses. But the Karl Lagerfeld brand gave him the opportunity to really lean in on his own values and the foundation for what he was standing for.
And what was that? Because he wanted to do something different for a reason, didn't he? I guess some of the more luxury brands were quite inaccessible to the masses. They're very expensive. As beautiful as the brands are, they're not, not many people can afford to wear them day in, day out. So he had an aspiration to make something that was more accessible.
Exactly. So the vision for the Karl Lagerfeld brand, he actually called it masstige, which is a mix of the words mass and prestige. So really bring that like luxury inspiration in a more affordable way to be more inclusive to a broader consumer base. And that's what we are doing. And I think that's also great because some of those luxury fashion houses can feel quite distant and they can feel that they belong to a lucky few, versus the Karl Lagerfeld brand is really something that everybody should be able to have access to.
Yeah. I'm going to go shopping online later, I think. You should. I've been inspired today. And so one of the things that I'm very, very, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Not excited about, but passionate about, I guess, in my career and everything I do is around, human-centered marketing and bringing things to life through people, because at the end of the day, people tend to buy people over, we all need products and services, but most of the time people buy into people. Now, to me, it feels like Karl Lagerfeld is the epitome and is probably one of the first and only people in fashion to really, epitomize himself through his brand. Is that something that he did consciously, do you think? Was it a conscious choice for him to go, because, we all know the Karl Lagerfeld brand, the logo is Karl, like he's so present in the branding. He's there, was that a purposeful decision you think that he made?
Well, definitely. I think the way he built his iconic look with the white ponytail, with the sunglasses, with the fingerless gloves. I mean, there was definitely a certain part that was like a consistent building of a very specific image that he has done in a very genius way, and then paired with a lot of authenticity. I think Karl has always been one to say what he was thinking. He was also sometimes saying slightly provocative things, or he was doing unexpected. He was very courageous and brave. He was doing things where people thought, how could this work? For example, he was the first designer to ever collaborate with H&M, which back in the day, now we find it completely normal and nobody looks up anymore. But back in the day, this was completely unheard of. He was the creative director of Chanel, and people thought, what is going on? This is insane. This is crazy. How could he be doing that? And then he surprised everyone. People were sleeping outside the H&M store. The collection was sold out within 30 minutes. So he has gone a lot of times also a little bit against the bets. And I think that's why people love him so much, because people, and I think in 2026 more than ever, are gravitating to authenticity, to people that are true to themselves and that they are expressing themselves in an authentic way, rather than just being polished and doing whatever anyone else is expecting.
Yeah, I love that. And again, it's a good, a collaboration with H&M is another fantastic example of being accessible, right? That was clearly important to him, that, brands shouldn't be hidden away and untouchable. He's really made a mark in the industry with making luxury accessible for all, which is what it, there are fantastic brands doing that today. Like, handbag that I'm about to buy from D'Amelia, that it's not a £3,000-4,000 bag. It's, it's still expensive, but it's £400-500 or, £300 to £600 is the price range. So brands are doing that again. Like, I feel like there's like a real resurgence in that space, but back when he did it, it was quite a revolution.
It was a revolution. And it was really completely something that nobody has ever done and nobody thought also could be done. I mean, it was really an experiment. Some people thought it will be a huge failure. That's what people were predicting. And then it was like the biggest success of fashion ever that really brought like people into fashion that never actually thought they could be part of it because it was too far away, and he invited them in and made them part of the story, which is really beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, he built a very strong personal brand from day one and then built his business around that. Now, then something rather sad happened, I think around 6 years ago, if I'm right.
Almost seven.
Nearly 7.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, of course, because we're in January.
We are in 2026.
2026.
Yeah.
He passed away. Yeah, in 2020, he passed.
2019.
2019 he passed. Yes. What did that mean for you guys as a business, having this founder, someone who was, the brand is built around? Obviously, I'm guessing that was probably quite a shock, but also a lot to navigate as a brand, how you continue as Karl Lagerfeld without Karl.
It was obviously a very pivotal moment for the brand. It was also emotionally, of course, a very sad moment. What it meant, we had Karl Lagerfeld, the biggest icon of fashion, and then he was no longer there. But basically what happened immediately, and which was really beautiful to see, was this collective pride of taking Karl's legacy into the future from the entire team. And also today, because before he was creative director for Fendi, he was creative director for Chanel, but today Karl Lagerfeld is the only fashion house that has his name on the door, and we really see ourselves as the sole custodians of his legacy and making sure that his spirit lives on in the future. And at the same time, of course, we had to also prove to the world, because you have such an important figure that is leading your house, and then he is gone, and then everybody is looking like, is there still a reason for this brand to exist? But I think with all that pride and that immediately picking up kind of that legacy from the team, we could show the world immediately like that Karl was actually larger than life. He was larger than just a man, and that the story continues, and that there's so much creativity that we can pull from today. He gave us, with his curiosity, his being cultured, him being always onto the zeitgeist. We can take that into the future and continue to build on that foundation.
Yeah. How do you do that in reality? Like, is there like a brand book or yeah, of course, your brand values, but how do you question, what would Karl say to this? What would you, how does that play out in day to day?
I mean, it's really kind of this filter, what would Karl do filter, but then of course we are doing it not in a nostalgic way or in a way that backward looking. Karl was very much about the zeitgeist of what's happening. That's what he was interested in. So we are also looking at things like, if he was there now, what would he do? Not what he would have done like 7 years ago. So we're not stopping there.
Yeah.
And of course it's our foundation, and there's, I mean, it's like, as I said, it's endless. There's so much possibilities there. Sometimes it's actually, in terms of marketing, it's sometimes rather hard to contain it, because he was a photographer, he was doing interior design, he was a publisher, he was doing so many things. He was doing a lot of artistic things. You could do millions of things, but how do you pull it back and bring it into like a cohesive message that also the consumer can understand? That's sometimes a bigger challenge than anything else.
It's rare to be that skilled, isn't it? Like there's not many people that are truly innovative as Karl was. Like you said, he's multi-talented, like this unicorn. Yeah, creative director, a bit like that. But like they can lend a hand to so many different things. Yeah. It's rare. So I think that you can see that in the brand still. Like you say, you've got these, you've got a very diverse portfolio across the brand in terms of the different places and things that you do as a business. So it's 100% still there, and you can see that.
Absolutely. And it will continue.
It will continue. So tell me about, let's really, this podcast is about marketing.
Yes.
So it would be crazy not to talk about marketing. Let's talk marketing. So as it stands, we're moving into 2026. Anyone who's listening to this, it will be 2026 by the time you listen to it. And it is 9th of January, if we're going to timestamp the date. When it comes to, I guess, marketing two questions actually. First one, has marketing for the brand changed since Karl passed? Has how you market changed, or really, because I guess because he's not available I guess anymore, has that made any fundamental changes to how you market as a brand?
I mean, of course there have been changes because Karl is not here anymore, but as I said, in terms of his spirit continues to live on through our campaigns. For example, in September, we partnered with Paris Hilton, and also someone that we know that Karl would have loved. We looked at like 80 talents. There were some that you would maybe expect that were sort of like logical, like sort of the first-hand choice. But then we really loved Paris because she's also like Karl, somebody that is very authentic, that is very courageous also in the way she did things. She's also like Karl, a pioneer. She's the original influencer. Karl Lagerfeld was kind of the original creative director, the ultimate icon. And then we bring her into Karl's world and show her through Karl's lens. So give like a different perspective to things. And that, of course, has changed. But I think it's just a very logical evolution of the brand.
Will you continue to use influencers like Paris, do you think? Because they do personify the brand. And you did some really cool things, right? Like, wasn't there a video where she had her hair tied back?
Yes.
And it looked like she was Karl until she turned around. Like, do you think, how important are the people in your campaigns? Because again, not all brands tie themselves to influencers or celebrities.
I think people are key, especially now and in the future. I predict with AI being able to basically create anything, like the human values and authenticity will be everything that counts. And in the end, you were saying that earlier, people believe in people. People don't believe in things. They believe in people. And with that, having people in an authentic way will be crucial. And with Paris, we have really found that. We have really also found this two-way street where both parties are really engaged in the collaboration, because sometimes you also see brands paying like high price tickets to celebrities to be the face. And I think then the consumer also feels if it's just sort of a pay-to-play situation and there was some money exchanged for the face. But if the storytelling goes deeper and you can really show those similarities and there is an authentic foundation, that will continue to play a big role. It doesn't always need to be somebody super famous. It could also be, an upcoming artist, maybe. Who knows?
I'm just pointing at myself there, guys.
It could be, it could be many different things. But I think people are absolutely key and critical for any brand. to be part of their storytelling.
I agree. I've built a whole business about it. So because I've had to be, but I truly believe in it. I actually, I think it is so important to have people front and center because like you say, it's very hard. As much as we want to buy things, you don't, and some things are pretty and, we just want to buy them.
Yes.
But a lot of the time you need to believe in the person before you buy into the brand, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a pet peeve that I have about adverts that we all see on TV all the time? When, like, I don't know, hopefully we have to cut this and I'm actually allowed to say it. But, when like perfume brands just have like a random celebrity, like really, really famous A-list celebrities, usually just walking around like in some fabulous dress. I mean, all the perfume ads seem to be the same. It does not make me want to buy that perfume. It's such a rubbish bit of old school marketing that's just been rolled out time after time. And it actually makes me want to turn the TV off. It annoys me so much because like you say, there's no relevance to that.
It's not authentic.
Totally inauthentic.
You just know that this person got X amount of dollars in order to endorse, like that classic endorsement. I give you money, you endorse me. I think there needs to be like a deeper layer of storytelling for the consumer to really engage.
100%. And I think that's going to get even more prevalent as the younger generation grow up because they're more, they're used to seeing quite raw content on TikTok, etc. So how they build trust with brands is in a much more authentic, real way on TikTok. As much as there's lots of AI and technology around nowadays, the reality is most of them are engaging with very raw videos recorded on the fly. That's the kind of content that performs well. They don't want too much fakeness, and so I do think it's going to be interesting how things change.
Really interesting because on the one hand, with new tools, perfection is at our fingertips, and at the other hand, the young consumers are looking for the imperfect. They're looking for the raw. As you said, they're looking for the raw and the realness, and not necessarily like that polished, perfect image.
Yeah. So what does that mean for your marketing this year then? That's what I'm going to ask now. Tell me all the secrets, Mirjam. So what does it mean? Like, obviously in this world of AI, there's so much. I'm going to try not to go down any specific rabbit holes here and keep the question quite open-ended. But what does it mean for you guys as a brand? What's important to you in 2026?
For us, it's really important to find those authentic and meaningful consumer connections, building communities that consumers want to be part of and going more into that exchange or consumer experiences that are not only one-dimensional. So it's not only about showing that perfect, polished image to the consumer via ads, but how can we engage with them? How can we start a conversation with Paris, for example, that really putting her in this like Karl look that really created that community moment where that surprised people, that people loved, that kind of made this emotional connection. And those are the moments that we are after for 2026.
And how do you bring that to life though? Is that through, are you creating communities in your social channels, or what's the practical, like, how does it happen?
But I mean, it goes across all the channels. So for the social channels, how can we have this more engaging content, increase our social engagement? But then it's also, how do we bring it to life in our stores with fostering communities that are with people in the neighborhoods of our stores or even other consumers? How can we create experiences that touch them and make them part of the world of Karl, as we call it? That will be the big focus for 2026.
Exciting. And it's hard though, isn't it? Because, you've got probably quite a diverse consumer profile, I would imagine, at Karl Lagerfeld. Like, do you have traditionally, when I worked for brand side and marketing personas, like how do you make sure that you're, I guess the Paris campaign isn't going to be for everyone, right?
Yeah.
But how do you make sure that you have got marketing for everyone when you've got but tell me about the personas. Like, who are
Definitely, we have the personas, but maybe to take even one step further back, as a brand, we reach quite a broad audience, because you have really of course, that consumer segment that kind of grew up with Karl the icon, like millennials and so forth. But then you also have like the really new consumer groups that didn't necessarily grow up with Karl the icon. So we have kind of also that job of educating the new consumer of who Karl the icon is and what it means, what it stands for, how that comes to life. And we have the older consumer group that knows that Karl was the creative director of Fendi and Chanel, and that he is the epiphany of luxury, basically. So that's a quite interesting task also. And sometimes we need to remind ourselves also of that younger consumer that needs that educational piece. But then, of course, in the case of Paris Hilton, for example, we felt that she covered a very similar range as ourselves, because she's actually very known also in younger consumer groups, let's say Gen Z or even sometimes younger, but then also reaches up to like an older consumer base as well. So she's actually fantastic in terms of also covering different regions and market and age groups.
There's no one that doesn't know Paris Hilton.
No.
Really? I mean, she comes from the Hilton family, doesn't she? You can't escape her. One of the world's biggest brands.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're marketing a product that's around a fantastic human, but the product in itself, in a way, is its own marketing. I don't know, like it's, the things that you design as part of the brand are almost marketing products in their own right, because, something goes viral, or, something that you guys design, it sells out everywhere. How much of a role, I'm just really interested in this, how much of a role do you have in the product design side of things because you're obviously in the marketing department here to bring it to life, but of course, marketing does there's a there's a very fine line in between marketing product, especially for a brand like Karl Lagerfeld. So how involved are you, if no right or wrong answer, in product design?
I would say, we have an absolutely fantastic creative director. His name is Hun Kim, who is leading our design team and is incredible creative. He worked with Karl, actually. Karl brought him on board. They shared an amazing passion for sketching, and he makes the most beautiful fashion sketches and then also brings it to life in product. And we work together very closely. We are not getting involved on like a design level, but of course there's a lot of alignment in terms of what do we want to stand for as a brand, what are key pieces that for us are always very centered around also what Karl was known for, like the white shirt, like a black jacket, like this kind of wardrobe staples that then we bring to life, or the design team brings to life in like really creative ways.
Yeah, the classics. I love, and you're representing very well.
Yes.
I should have definitely worn a black blazer today. I should have. I don't know why I didn't. Silly. I'm going to move back to marketing now. Well, it is marketing, but like to modern day marketing. So we can't escape AI. There's so many tools out there that you can use. Are there any specific cool technologies you're interested in using or investigating or want someone to create? Like from an AI perspective, how is that affecting and changing how you market as a business?
Yeah.
So that was a massive question.
Yeah, yes, it is a massive question, and I think it's like kind of on the top of any marketeer or even CEO's list for 2026. And there is so much movement in that space. On our side, we're doing a lot of tests and also implementations. I would say the implementations are more on automation and scalability side. So in terms of asset rollout, how can we optimize that with AI if we have to create, banners in different sizes? but also in terms of copy, translations. There we already have a lot of established ways of working with AI. And then we also are doing a lot more experiments in terms of content creation, where I expect like really big steps being made this year that should help us free up some ways to be more creative and also cover things that in the past were basically impossible to cover. So I really see it as an addition. Some people are really afraid that AI is going to take something away from us. I'm actually a huge AI enthusiast, and I think there is huge amounts of opportunity for marketing teams to do like the work that is actually painful in a much better way and have a lot more freedom and brain space to come up with amazing creativity.
Yeah, I love that, because I think so many people think AI is going to make us less creative. It's going to make us lazy.
Yes.
But I think if you use AI in the right way to do the repetitive tasks or sometimes the like simpler things that are simple, I guess, to do, but take time to do. So, I'm trying to think of a good example here, but something that needs to be repeated many, many times in the same sort of way. If you can use AI to do that for you so that you can have the space to be more creative and utilize AI in the right way, it helps so much on so many daily tasks that I used to hate doing that now get done in a flash.
Exactly. And I think the trap some people step in is that they think AI is some sort of a magic fix, but it's not. It's just a tool like everyone else, that like every other tool that needs to be learned, that needs to be managed. At least for now, it's not gonna do anything really by itself, because you sometimes see you get an email that somebody asked ChatGPT to write, and you're like, okay, that's of course not how it works, because nobody needs like mindless ChatGPT generated emails.
Yeah.
But then you immediately see also that if the human creative brain is not involved, it also doesn't work. So
it's annoying. I both love and hate AI because I see, probably because I use it so much, but I don't want people to be using it for the lazy things. I want you to, like you say, you should be able to write an email still yourself. Although I must say, what I will often do is speak to ChatGPT.
Oh yeah, I also do that.
Yeah, so it writes for me.
I do that too. But sometimes when you just get a lot of big words that don't add up, then it's a different story.
Yeah, because you can tell that it's not. That's the annoying thing. I don't know if you've noticed this, but ChatGPT doesn't actually transcribe you word for word. So when you talk to chat, it makes up its own slight version and misses out words and doesn't transcribe word for word. So now I have to use a different tool to transcribe, so it transcribes word for word, then put it into chat if I want to write something that's long, for instance, but I want to say it rather than type it. Okay. That for me has been a game changer.
Yeah, I definitely use that too.
Yeah, it's good. One last big question. big question. I I'm springing these on Mirjam.
I'm ready.
So I say one last, might have two last. If people want to build a personal brand or their business, humanize their brand a little bit more, I'm taking it right back to the beginning here, what would be some tips that you would give to marketers? Because you guys you're in the world of fashion, you are the epitome of the human, of personal branding. Yeah. So what could other brands learn from you?
I think the biggest thing is being authentic and true to yourself. And that's also the misunderstanding that some people have. It's not about delivering the most polished version of yourself that you think everyone is expecting from you, but it's actually the opposite. It's about showing up as who you really are and not being afraid to show that.
So my last question, is there anything that has stuck with you and like a mantra or anything from Karl that we can all go on and live with you guys?
Definitely. We have one big mantra that is the foundation of everything we do. It's one of Karl's most famous quotes that is, embrace the present and invent the future. And that pretty much sums it all up.
That's it. There we go. 2026, guys. Embrace the present, create the future. We're here for it.
Let's do it.
Thanks, Mirjam. Thank you so much for joining me on. It's been amazing. So good.
Thank you.